If you're trying to encourage deeper thinking in school AI, how you prompt students makes a huge difference. We're going to go over different strategies that you can use to support student thinking in a school AI space. Step number 1 is to use open-ended questions. Avoid the yes, no, or even multiple choice type of questions. Instead, ask your students why, how, what's your evidence? This is going to really help your students by swapping out those questions to support that higher level thinking with those open-ended questions. Another thing that you can do is to tell the AI not to give answers or examples. This is going to support and force your students to generate their own ideas. So when we do this by having the AI not provide those answers or examples, it's going to nudge the student to generate their original ideas, and they're able to share those ideas in the space. Another way that you can support higher level thinking is to ask for reasoning after responses. When you have your students respond, you can then have the AI respond back with a question like, what makes you think that? Or how did you get that answer? This is really going to push for clarity and critical thinking to, again, support your students with their reasoning. 4 is where you can include reflection prompts. This is going to be a great way to encourage reflection. Students can think about maybe what part of this task was the hardest, or what would they do differently next time. And instead of just setting on one correct answers, students can really kind of use these to reflect back on, what was that hardest part, or what would I do differently if I was to restart and start at the beginning. Number 5 is to prompt for multiple perspectives. Having multiple perspectives can really support students by not having one correct answer. We're asking for alternative viewpoints to promote that flexible thinking. We also want to avoid over-scaffolding. We want to make sure that we let the students struggle and have that productive struggle before they offer supports. We want to make sure that we're giving students maybe those sentence frames, hints, and clues if they really need it. But first, we want our students to try and have that struggle a little bit at the beginning before we just offer those supports to our students. Number 7, when we are praising our students, we might also want to ask for justification. Here's how you can replace your phrase. Rather than just saying, good job, we might say something like, what makes your answer strong? We're still praising the student. Your answer is strong, but what do you think it is that makes it strong, right? And so again, we're allowing our students to really kind of think through, focus on that justification as they're working through making their answer even stronger. Number 8, we can insert different ideas of ways that folks might be thinking about this. Someone might say you're wrong. How do we respond to that, right? This is going to support our students by building arguments and resilience within the space. So let's go ahead and put this all together and review a couple different ways that this might look. I have 2 different spaces here. One is a little bit more scaffold than the other. You'll notice here that in the role, we have this as an AI lab assistant helping high school students examine a photo, okay? This is using the CER, Claim, Evidence, and Reasoning, to support student learning. In this space, you might also notice that we have our tone, right? We've got supportive, inquisitive, right? But over in this spicier space, we have added where it's going to guide students, okay? So adding in this word guide can really support our students in supporting that prompt to be a little bit more challenging and supporting that rigorous as well. Also, we remove sentence starters and example scaffolds to encourage original student thinking. This space has a bunch of different sentence starters in here that are there to support students' thinking. Give scaffolds and sentence starters, not answers. When we come over here and we look at that same part, we can see, right? Ask open-ended observation-based questions. There is none of that sentence starters. Do not provide examples or models. Again, I want my students to have that thinking all on their own. We also revise the prompt so that it does provide that open-ended questions, asking what do you notice instead of just hinting at the answer. So again, that's another way that you can support and build up your prompt. You can also add more of a follow-up where it promotes reasoning and metacognition. You might notice that I say, why do your clues support your claim, right? Providing those examples right in your prompt can be really, really helpful as students are completing this claim, evidence, and reasoning activity. We also can see that instead of good job, right? We just have them reflect and dive deeper into their responses as well. When students say, I don't know, right? We can redirect them to kind of think about other ideas and make those connections. You can see that when we create those higher end spaces, the cognitive load stays with the student and we don't just turn it over into the AI chatbot.